Okay, next up, we've got Sean. Sean and I had gone back and forth a little bit about which topic he was going to show us because he's been vibe coding a lot. It turns out he's actually going to show us, I think, 4 different things. One of them is a price monitoring tool. One is a bookmarking tool, which is more of like an internal workflow type thing versus like an engineering as marketing type thing. He also built a Twitter archive of all of his own tweets, which he showed me the other day, which I thought was pretty interesting. Connor asks if it's late for me, will we get a recording of the session? Yeah, we'll send out the recording. And what I'll probably do is chop it up so that if you want a 2-hour long video, you can. I'll probably also chop it up by presenter too. Okay, Sean, here you are. Sorry.
Are we here?
You're here. Sorry, that was my fault. You were trying to get in. I kicked you out. Cool. Real quick, Sean, before we dive into your stuff, I just want to, again, thank Riverside for sponsoring this event. As you can see, Riverside is a really nice tool for hosting workshops like this one. I think one really important thing about Riverside is that it's not just a single use tool. Like podcasting. It's really good for that. It's also good for a whole bunch of other things. One thing that I've used it for is customer research. So as I do customer research for Superpath, I will actually record the stuff in Riverside. It just makes it so much easier to work with later. You get transcriptions. You can easily cut things up. The AI powered editing is really good. There's just a bunch of like really powerful tools on the back end that make it useful for way more than just the recording part. So anyways, thanks again, Riverside. Check it out at riverside.fm. Okay, Sean, as you were coming on, I was teasing some of the things you're going to show us. There's a couple, it sounds like. So if it's cool, maybe I'll just hand it over to you. Intro yourself, please. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then let's dive in.
Sure. I am Sean Blanda. I was a longtime in-house content marketer, and less than a year ago, I went the solo consultant route. So I have a handful of clients where I help them spin up their brand or content marketing. And as a result, I am one person. So I find myself leaning on these AI tools to code a very specific thing that I need. So what I'm going to show you is, maybe we'll get to 4, but at least 2 things I've made for myself. And this is a little, I feel a little like exposed, like I'm giving you a house tour. Like if I show you one of these apps and you're like, that's not what I would use it for, or like those prompts have tons of misspelling in them. These are all just things I made for myself. And a lot of them are publicly accessible. But the point is that they serve some problem I had. So, all right, let me share my screen. All right, sorry.
You're good.
Wow. Phillies hate. Top of the NL East. This is what we get. Okay.
Wait, it's like 3 games into the season.
And we played the 2 worst teams in the league. So, I'm going to take it. Okay. So I'm going to show you Replit, which I believe is how you pronounce it, which is replit.com. That's what I use. And all these tools were started in Replit and then deployed publicly. Let me just give you the case for Replit, which is I know a little bit of HTML and CSS and a little bit of JavaScript from my 1997 GeoCities days, but otherwise I'm not particularly well versed in code. And what I like about Replit is it handles everything from prompt to deployment, it all in one service. And it can meet you where you are, right? So if you do know a ton of code, you can hop in. If you do want to reorganize the file structure, if you do want to modify individual files, you can do that. And you can hook it up to GitHub and you can get as advanced as you want. But for a solo vibe coder like myself, it does the trick. And I have actually learned a lot about apps and how they work through Replit. So I want to get to the show and tell, and I'm not going to build an app in front of you, though I'm happy to walk you through the prompts that took to get there and just showcase a handful of things I've done. And Jimmy, can you watch the chat and just interrupt me if someone has a question or if I'm off? So this is for content marketers. We are content marketers. What are the things content marketers struggle with? I think these 3 things are problems that can be solved with these AI tools. One is automating repetitive tasks. I think we've all had to comb through a CMS at one point and recategorize everything or retag everything or clean up all the HTML from something. 2, create workflows that empower your creativity. Get all the knucklehead stuff off your desk so you can think thoughtfully and use your human benefit of creativity and new ideas to come up with new concepts. I have a thing called Savesies that helps me with that. And then original reporting and research, right? It would take us hours to scour the web and collect a bunch of stats, figures, and things that we need. AI can do that for us. So I'm going to start with something a client asked me to do. This app called Bartram. So I think we've all had to rewrite copy. Can you rewrite all the copy of this website? Can you take this section and rewrite everything? And what I ended up used to having to do is copy and paste everything to a Google Doc. And I found that to be really annoying. So let's take my old employer, crossbeam.com. Recursively, let's go scrape the 2 pages. So what this will do is scan the 2 navigational levels of crossbeam.com, strip out all the text, put it in an RTF file that I can then use to drop into Google Docs and edit, or I can feed it into like a Claude, for example, and use it as project knowledge, context, or edit it directly. So while this is going, let me show you.
Sean, do you think you'll ever charge your clients for stuff you build for them?
No.
You don't think so?
Well, so here's the thing. Like, I use this myself. Like, they don't know I'm using this.
True,
right?
true.
They're just
Got it.
like, hey, rewrite the copy, and I'm like, okay, I can bill you, 5 hours just for downloading it all, or I can just do this and operate more efficiently and have more clients. And right. So this is what I started this app with. Like, this is not a big problem. I'd like to. I scrape all the site's content is scraped, and then boom. So here's all the pages. Here's all the text. I can edit it in real time, or I can export it into a single RTF or 3 pages RTF, right? So this like dramatically speeds up whenever I have to like rewrite copy. So that's thing 1. Thing 2, and this is my magnum opus that took me forever to do. It's called Savesies. You can go to savesies.com and sign up for an account right now. This is my bookmarking site. If do we have any elder millennials that used Delicious in the past? I ruthlessly and shamelessly told us to just copy the design of Delicious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and what I was finding out is all these new developments in AI and thought leadership and like how we should think about our marketing jobs. There's like tons of great thinking, and I found myself losing it, whether it's like, hey, use this tool, or like, hey, here's some advice for how to think about this. So I just started adding them to this service, and I'll get to how it works, but it's serving as like a second brain now, where I have every interesting article I've read, and now I can reference them not only when I'm like, oh, what was that AI tool? Snap. I added, you can add AI to your AI. So if I can say, I'm writing, live typing, an article about SEO, what bookmarks to. So this is ChatGPT layered on top of my database. I told it only to use the sources I have and tell me what's in them, right? So this is like a research partner, like a memory. Anytime I come up with something, it's like a library, right? Anytime I come up with something, I can like go and ask. And someone was asking about like user accounts and like safety. So you can sign up for this. In fact, I have like an admin page. Here are all the different users who have signed up for this. I can see all the active sessions. Oh, wait. People getting in here. I see you guys.
Nice.
This is all vibe coded. I did not code any of this.
That's so cool. Could you imagine charging for it? I'm asking because someone asked in the chat, has anyone ever commercialized a vibe coding project? If anyone has, please put a link in the chat.
Yeah. So this is what I thought. I don't think you can do that unless you have some sort of programming knowledge, because the amount of like when you are doing like the vibe coding thing, something breaks, and if it's just for you, you're like, fine, I'll get to it tomorrow after I eat a sandwich, right? But when it breaks and you don't know how to fix it and people are paying you, big deal, right? So I think you need some kind of developer talent or developer on staff, and also the security aspect of this. This has user accounts. I have no idea how it's secured. None. I have no idea if someone can just come in and take from the database, right? So that's why, we're not vibe coding a banking app, it's bookmarks. So I think I wouldn't.
Yeah, interesting. I could imagine. We're going to build kind of a micro app for Superpath using the data from the salary report. And my goal is that it would be like a Zestimate, so that you give us a little info and we'll spit out, you should be making at least X dollars per year kind of thing. I could imagine versions of it where you like in the same way that like indie apps, or like homegrown sort of grassroots apps, there maybe they're $10 a month or something. Like I could imagine that, but then I could also imagine using it as a way to prove out a concept for a more professional app too.
Yeah, I thought about it from like an additive thing for like a media company, like special little tools for their audience you could maybe get, but they have to be like really, I just think they have to be really small unless you have. So Savesies literally took me months to figure out. This is my original prompt, and I just want to show you real quick. This is every chat I've had to make it. Like each one of these is like an hour of back and forth. It took a very, very long time of lots of stops and starts. And let me show you one other thing. Before I learned how GitHub worked, I This is like final. You see this? These are all the deployments I had. Like, yes, this is stable. No, this one's stable. No, actually use this one.
Yeah.
This one has this feature, right? Like it was like the saved games, right? Of like when you played a long video game as a kid, you'd save it and like go fight the boss and you'd die and you'd load the save game. I was doing that before I learned how like version control worked. So this is what I mean, like Replit meets you where you are. Two other things, and then I'll get into like the details of Replit. The next one is original reporting and research. I don't know about you guys, but I find Twitter extremely difficult to be on these days. Actually, just this week, I deleted my Twitter account, and I was like, "What about how am I going to reference my old tweets?" I used it as a bookmark, so I used import it into this thing called Twitter Archive, and now I have all my tweets all organized in the right order. In fact, as Jimmy pointed out to me, even the ones I did when I was 21 and just trying out the service. I'd never let a 21-year-old have social media. I have all the links I've ever shared on Twitter categorized here. And then I just realized the navbar doesn't maintain some links. We can search tweets. So when I'm like, oh, I know I tweeted about that link and I can't remember it, right? It's like, again, like Savesies. It's like another thing that I can use when I'm writing to pull from. And then I also have like generate tweet for funsies. Now it doesn't work. Boo. See, this is why you can't charge for it.
Yeah.
I had
Meaning
it
it would
like
like
auto-generate tweet.
learn from like previous tweets and try to come up with something new for you.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of them were about the Sixers, surprisingly enough. So, yes, and then the one that we put in the description for this, which I'm working on actively, is this one I'm calling cheat code. A fun thing about vibe coding your own apps is you can give them really weird design aesthetics because who cares? So I made this one 8-bit theme because
Whoa, that's awesome.
Why not? So like I did not design this, right? I said, here's the original prompt. It's inspired by 8-bit studio art, just in Mario, Legends of Zelda, and like this one site, which I really like how they do 8-bit art. Where was I? And I'm using this as my capacity as like someone who writes for SaaS companies to monitor changes to competitors' websites or pricing pages, right? So I can see if something happens and like adjust the strategy, or like, oh, they're rolling out new product or whatever. Let me adjust for that. This is still a work in progress, but you can just kind of see, like I did this on my personal site because I can't force a SaaS company to update their site for the purpose of this demo, but it tells you the exact lines that are changing, right? So if a competitor's like changed site,
That's
I'm like,
cool.
what happened? I can like pull it up and see.
Yeah. That does seem commercially viable. I mean,
Yeah.
Using this as an MVP, like there's a version of that I think people would pay for.
Yeah, and what I was thinking about from a news or journalist perspective, right? Can I have this fleet of bots looking at all these various things, and then when they change, let me know, and then it's like, oh, such and such is launching new project. Like I could write about that, and it just saves time, saves trouble.
That's really
okay,
cool. I love the design.
I just bombarded 4 quick apps. I think I'll show just a little bit what Replit works, and I don't want to belabor it. And then I'll get into some of the tips that have helped me in my many stops and starts. And please put things in the chat because I know this is very wide sprawling, and I want to be as useful to you guys as possible.
Cool. Yeah. We got questions are coming in. I'll queue them up for you in a minute, though.
Okay, cool. So Replit is like all these others. Like put one prompt in, and I have a little prompt guide in here, which I'll get to. So let's take no chat history. All right. So it has these tabs right here. Let's run tabs right here. And then it shows you the update of what it is updating on the right side. And you can either get the console view, right? So like literally the code it's making, or the changes it's making to the site itself. This is just an exchange I have, right? The status of the page preview is stuck on capturing screenshot. It tells you what it's doing. It's like, did it fix? It is not. That's a lot of coding. Back goes, I did it. And you go, no, you didn't. And then you just keep going back and forth and back and forth. And this is like the main interface between, like, on the left is conversing with the AI, on the right is the outcome. What I like about Replit is there's all these various other things I can look at, right? So I can chat with collaborators if I had like my team on it. I can look through the database, right? So if there's a database attached to this project. So Savesies, for example, as users, it needs user states, it needs a database. I can go comb through the database and edit stuff directly. There's Git, right? If once you have version control, there's also like there's like a file system, which I can't seem to find right now, where you can like literally look at the raw HTML, JS files and edit them directly. So again, you can just stay in vibe coding mode, or you can get your hands dirty in the exact method of your expertise, which I like really enjoy. And then once you're ready, you click deploy, and wait, where is it? Yeah, redeploy, right? So this is me redeploying Bartram, which is already deployed. But then it just sends it live to this URL right here, or you can link it to a domain you register, right? So all I did was register a domain, edit the DNS info, and now this is a live site that anyone can access. And that's why I like this service versus the other ones. Like everything is in one box, and I'm sure some developer will tell me it's not as powerful or not as customizable, and I don't care because that's not what I'm using.
Yeah, so cool. Can I ask you an
Can you
existential question? We have
Yeah.
some good stuff coming in the chat. I just have like a bigger question.
Yeah.
As a longtime content marketer, where is this going? Like now that you can code apps for your own purposes for clients, how are you thinking about the changing skill set of content marketers? I mean, I know no one really knows the answer to this question, but like a couple years from now, like what are we all going to be doing? How many of us
Yeah.
will be writing versus doing other stuff like this?
I think what we referred to as content marketing was kind of like 2 or more buckets, and there was often what I would call like tactical content marketing, where there wasn't as much creativity involved. Right? You're like, get this ranked on Google, right? Or like, get this to spread on social, or we need a article that says X because we need to use it for sales enablement or whatever. And we've all done that work. I think that is the work that is going to be done by tools like this. But then I think there's this other layer where it's more, what some people call like thought leadership or creative or audience building or community building. And this capacity doesn't help with that, right? You still need something interesting to say, right? This will help you find different ways of distributing that. So what I think it makes the content marketer or editor or brand marketer, like you're more like the puppet master and you have all these tools you can use. And this gives you more tools. But there still needs to be some original spark of an idea. There still needs to be some conversation you're having with your audience and learning from them. And I don't think that's changing. So what I feel this has done is removed all the rote, annoying stuff off my plate. So like, for example, if a client asks me for a proposal, bet I use Claude for that, right? Like I do not want to waste hours doing the proposal. But when it's time to like work with the CEO to find the thought leadership for the Q2 campaign and like, what are we doing? Like, I will deeply like sit and write and work that out and like send to other human beings, right? So that is where I think this is going.
I love it. Can I throw a bunch of questions at you?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Hold on. Sorry, real quick. I have this doc, real quick. This doc right here is my original prompts, a little prompt guide, which I'm happy to walk through later, and then like a bunch of tips, and then the links to everything I just said. So awesome. You're welcome. If you want to tune out, not listen to me and scan this, that's fine too.
That's amazing.
Yeah, go.
Look, people are joining right now. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Nat asked, is it a must to learn GitHub if I want to vibe code?
No,
maybe. Okay. I still don't
understand it. I still don't really understand it. You saw the weird save game approach I took. I think that's fine, honestly.
Yeah.
Again, but these are tools for you, right? So like when you start being public with them, I think it does change a little bit.
Yeah. I learned a little bit about how to use GitHub recently because I want to be able to run these scripts on a regular basis. I need to keep the code somewhere. It's a little different. There's not like a public facing app. I'm just trying to like automate something at a fairly large scale. I found maybe I'm so naive. This is a dumb answer. I found it like learning WordPress. You know what I mean? It's like not that hard. It's like the code needs a place to live. You can publish it. It's live. Now you can use it. Obviously, it can be a lot more sophisticated than that. But I did not find it to be that difficult. All right, I'm going to throw up a couple other ones here for you, Sean. Sorry.
While you search, one thing, you guys saw the GPT break on the tweet document. And one thing that Replit does is it pulls in API keys from other services to use. So like if you want to send transactional emails, you have to sign up for a SendGrid account and give it the API to Replit, and it will know what to do. And the reason that GPT broke is my secret key for OpenAI switched because I changed my account. And I didn't update that. So like I know what the problem is, but why that broke. That's an example. Like it helps to know how the internet kind of works for like fixing this stuff.
Yeah. See, Jasmine Jade asked, can we deploy projects on a subdirectory? That, I'm guessing, depends on the tool you use. I also suppose the answer is probably yes, but it may be slightly more sophisticated than the custom domain stuff that's built into most tools.
Yeah, there's a subdomain, right? So this one is like tweets.seanblanda. And because it uses the DNS records, which are at the subdomain level, I think it's easier with the subdomain, but also some providers, right, treat a subdomain as a directory, right? So like seanblanda/tweets would do the same thing as tweets.seanblanda. And I think that depends on your host. Don't hold me to that, but I've seen
makes sense. Let's see, Charlie, this is more of a comment than a question. I wonder about the thousands of content marketers making hundreds of redundant apps, probably some waste there rather than just everyone using the best one. That's sort of interesting. Like, this is a lot of fun. Maybe we'll all do this for a while and then be like, oh gosh, it's so much easier to use apps. that
I mean,
developers need.
yeah,
I
like
don't know.
I disagree because you can make the thing that's for your unique little special snowflake brain and process, right? So like, is there a better way of saving bookmarks than like this? Like, probably. Like I almost certainly, but like this is exactly the way, and I want no more. I have not updated this in a while. This is exactly what I want, right? So it's for me, and that's why like I have user accounts just to see if it would work. But like if any user wrote to me and was like, whatever doesn't work, or like could you ever consider X, I would be like, no, because that's not the business I'm in, right?
Right, right. No, that makes sense. Travis asked an interesting question. New to vibe coding, recently learned about it. What are some small projects I could use to learn the ropes? Yeah, I know, Sean, any like from your journey into this, or anything that you would recommend as like a good starting point?
Yeah, I think it's fun. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, name shuffler. There are some times where I'm on some call or I'm about to do something, and like I'm like, oh, I need to find a website that does whatever. And this, let's see if this works. I haven't like opened this up. Where I was on a call where we had to figure out the order of presentations, and I was like, can I vibe code this in 10 minutes? And like just like as a little challenge to myself. I don't know if this is gonna load. I haven't loaded this in a while. Yeah, there we go. So like there you go. Like solve like smaller problems. Yeah, there you go. So just like solve like super small problems to like learn how everything works and like don't overthink it. Like I think a thing we maybe get caught up in is like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to break it, or I'm afraid it's not going to work, and then it'll be frustrating. And it's like this is all like fake internet pixels. Like you can just like delete and throw the folder out if nothing works. Like you are damaging nothing. It's all self-contained on like the Replit like server, and it can't infect like any other thing. And I find that kind of freeing to like experiment.
That's cool. For me, like I haven't built any like public facing apps. Everything I've been doing has been really more like automation, like stuff that I used to do with Zapier or probably didn't do because it was too much work or too painful. And I
Mm-hmm.
find that I have like a 50% success rate. Like half the time I do accomplish what I want to get done. And half the time I go so deep into a rabbit hole and then I don't get anywhere. Like I
Yeah,
ultimately find out that either, oh, it's not possible because the Slack API won't let you do that thing, or you have to upgrade to
yeah.
the highest tier, or, and it's like, if I'd known that start, I wouldn't have done it. But like, there's so much tinkering involved in this right now, at least for folks who like don't have a background in programming.
Yeah, I think you got to like that, right? In the same way that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's fun to like edit a piece of copy and over again for some people and like find the right like voice. But yeah, these definitely. So in the interest of like full disclosure, that like Chico thing I sent you, I broke this guys last night when I was like trying to prepare it for this presentation, and I was furiously. I spent like 3 hours last night trying to like
Oh no.
debug it, and then I gave up. I was like, fuck. And then like editing, I just slept on it, and I woke up and I was like, oh, I think I know what it's trying to do now. And then I did a few things and like it worked. And so like you can like get caught in like this cul-de-sac sometimes, and you need to either like blow it up or ask a new way. And it's just like writing. It reminds me a lot of writing, honestly, in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
yeah. That's so interesting. Charlie Romberg, who we had on the podcast recently, described writing with AI as sculpting from marble. I feel like this is kind of the
Mm-hmm.
same thing too. Like it starts like so broad and you're just always trying to get narrower and narrower.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find it. While you pull another question, let me see if I can find the top, where the moment where I gave up. So yeah,
What
you see
can I
this
ask you a question, Sean? How
2
much
hours
money are
ago.
you spending on this stuff?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I have this in here. I think it's right. So this is it. This is everything I spent. I
Wow.
pulled this while everyone was talking.
That's
Say
crazy.
this is from my credit card statement. So this is not fake Replit messing with me. This is actually dollars I've spent on my credit card.
That's wild. That's incredibly inexpensive for what you're able to do with that. That's really cool.
Yeah, right. So even the there's probably like 10 apps I got nowhere and had to like throw away. But also when you get somewhere and it dead ends, like the first example of Savesies, I added user accounts and it totally broke. It like could not figure it out retroactively. And I was like, you have to start with that, because if you try to layer such serious architecture back on top of it, the AI just is like not good enough to like or can like handle that complexity. So it's like a learning, right? And like the more you just go through it, you figure it out.
Amazing. Okay. Any last questions for Sean here?
I
Mo
guess keep
says, wait, that seems more expensive than paying for software that accomplishes the same things now.
paying
Maybe.
for accomplishes what?
Well, for potentially you could spend less by paying for software that someone else has built to do bookmarking, for example. But I mean,
Yeah.
like while that is probably true, it's also like there's something to the part where you build it yourself. You can build potentially like a more opinionated or personalized version of it.
Yeah. Also, that's assuming you know the end you want in mind and can find it and pay for it, right? Like, for example, like that Bartram app, I wasn't like starting out being like, I need something to Scrape's website. I was like, I need to write this copy. Crap, what am I going to do about it? And then like I backed into it. I was like, oh, I can automate this. And like the act of thinking of that and making it, and now it's mine forever and I can tweak it for like my clients, whatever I want. That is definitely like, if you put all these numbers in a spreadsheet, is it slightly more expensive to do this? I sure, but like to say nothing of like the learning and development and like what I've learned about like AI tools and apps, and I can continue to add to this. Like that's worth it to me. And if it might not be worth it to you, and that's I get that.
Yeah, super cool. All right, Sean, thank you so much. We'll put more links once Katie gets going. We'll put links into all your stuff, your LinkedIn, Gatecheck Studios, this Google Doc, which I think you put in here, but I'll make sure everyone has it. And yeah, super cool to chat. Thank you for making time to do this. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Bye.
We'll see you in the live chat.